is Nikki, and once again, I am here to share my insights as a sonographer. If you're new, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. In my next 2 videos, I will be discussing regurgitation of the heart valves. I'm breaking it up into 2 parts because in this video, I want to talk about the atrioventricular valves, mainly the mitral and the tricuspid valve. And in my next video, I want to talk about the semilunar valves, mainly the pulmonic and aortic valves. First and foremost, what is regurgitation? Regurgitation is when your valve does not close completely and it allows blood to flow backwards. So kind of think about regurgitation and dilatation going hand in hand, because if blood is flowing backwards, then things will start to eventually dilate. Regurgitation could be caused by endocarditis, rheumatic fever, trauma, cardiomyopathies, congenital heart defects, as well as regurg could lead to something significant as heart failure. When evaluating for regurgitation, you want to keep in mind a few things. You want to make sure you use color Doppler. You want to make sure you use continuous wave or CW. When using CW, you want to make sure that you're parallel to the flow. And you also want to make sure that you obtain velocities and color Doppler in multiple views to accurately assess it. When evaluating the mitral and the tricuspid valve for regurgitation, you want to do it in systole. First, we're going to talk about tricuspid valve regurgitation, or TR. TR can be visualized in the RVIT view, right ventricular inflow tract view, the peristernal short axis view at the aortic level, the apical 4-chamber view, and it can also be visualized in the subcostal 4-chamber view. Also, when looking in the subcostal 4-chamber view, if you swing over to the IVC or inferior vena cava and you have your patient do the sniff test where they kind of like sniff in and your IVC is dilated and it does not collapse, those are kind of indicators that the patient might have severe pulmonary hypertension. Pulmonary hypertension and TR can go hand in hand, but not always. You can have one without the other. You also want to keep in mind that your right atrial pressure, millimeter of mercury gradients, can vary from 0 to 15 depending on your continuous wave Doppler measurements, if there's any dilatation, and or if the IVC collapses. Millimeter mercury gradients to keep in mind when evaluating TR for pulmonary hypertension are less than 30, which is usually in the normal range. 30 to 40 is usually in the mild pulmonary hypertension range. 40 to 70 is usually in the moderate pulmonary hypertension range, and then greater than 70 is usually severe. Next, we're going to talk about mitral valve regurgitation, or MR. MR can be visualized in the peristernal long axis view and the peristernal short axis view at the mitral level, in the apical 4-chamber view, the apical 2-chamber view, and the apical 3-chamber view, as well as the subcostal 4-chamber view. But we mainly evaluate MR and interrogate like the mitral valve in the apical 4-chamber view, 2 and 3 as well. When evaluating mitral regurg, you can use the vena contracta method and or the PISA method. When doing vena contracta, you want to use color Doppler on the mitral valve. You want to measure in systole the jet at its smallest section near the leaflet. And if it is less than 3 millimeters, it is mild. If it's 3 to 5 millimeters, it is moderate. And if it is greater than 5 millimeters, then it's severe. When doing PISA, you will start off by putting color on the mitral valve. Then you would decrease your baseline, not your scale, your baseline. I personally like between 30 and 40. Then you'll start to see a dome, a prominent dome shape above the mitral valve leaflet. You want to measure that, systole. Then you want to use continuous wave through the mitral valve, and you want to trace the actual velocity that you would get, the regurg velocity. Then you'll get something called an ERO, or an effective regurgitant orifice. And it can either be in centimeters squared or millimeters squared. I'm going to talk about millimeters squared now, but if you wanted to convert it, you'll just move over a decimal. So if it is mild, it's going to be less than 10. If it is moderate, it's going to be between 10 and 25. If it's moderate to severe, it's going to be between 25 and 35. If it is severe, it's going to be greater than 35. Also, if you are getting any type of moderate numbers, I personally like to see if I can get Doppler PW, or pulse wave Doppler, through the pulmonary veins to see if there's any flow reversal. That can also tell you that it's probably more on the moderate to severe side than just mild to moderate. Well, that is it for this video, and I want to thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I was able to give you a better insight on how to evaluate MR and TR. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the description box down below, and I promise I'll get to them as soon as I can. Until next time.